Yeah, all right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. You know what that means?
What is it?
That means it's the Herschy The Keegs show.
Yes, it is.
Here we are.
Let's go, baby.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Please just take a second to share this link and tell your friends and like it and smash that like and subscribe button. Smash it. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we love you. We're happy to be here. The Herschy the Keegs show. I am Mike Keegan. My co-host, the lovely Marc Herschmann.
Hello. Our
lovely producer, Sally from the Valley.
Silly Sally.
Hey, everyone.
There she is.
And it is Kentucky Derby week, so we have a very special guest. We have Anthony Stabile here, and we're happy to have him. He's what do we?
Anthony Stabile from the credentials. Hold on, I have legal size paper. I wrote all these things down on for Mr. Anthony Stabile. Anthony Stabile, you will see him every racing day for the New York Racing Association on Talking Horses. It's a show that they put on before the races, talking about who's going to win, who's going to lose, mostly about who's going to lose. He is the content producer for Naira Bets. That's one of his newer titles. You will see him on the weekends very frequently, and I believe today possibly on America's Day at the Races, which is a nationally telecasted show on Fox Sports. And once in a while, you will see him calling races at Belmont, Aqueduct, and so forth. So how we managed to fit this guy's time in the week of Kentucky Derby, but he is here. We are very happy to have him. Thank you, Anthony, for being here, sir.
Mike, Mark, you know how much this is how much I love Mark.
Let's do it.
This is poker night.
Oh.
Whoa.
Poker night during Kentucky Derby week.
Oh,
Yes.
boy.
And both were usurped.
Wow.
By my main man, one of my aces. I got 4 aces in life, and he is absolutely positively one of them.
I don't even know what usurped it means, but he did it for me, and I feel good about it, though.
Mark is a good egg. He gets
Yeah.
me out of
He
the
is
house
a good
on
egg.
Tuesday nights, too.
He's a great egg.
And, we continue to do it for you people every week. We have another great guest that we're happy
Another
about.
home run.
We just have A-lister after A-lister.
A-list.
We do it for you people.
I would say he's an A-plus lister at this
think
point.
so.
I would say I'm a big A-lister.
Big A! Hey! We love puns. That's perfect.
So, yeah, we're excited to have Anthony. We're going to get into some Kentucky Derby, some horse racing stuff in a little bit.
When this show came to life, like I'd say after the holidays, February, January, and one of the first guests that we talked about having, we had the vision that we were going to be still going strong in May. We said, who's coming on for Derby week? Let's see if we can get Stabile.
We
the
got
big
him.
A, Anthony Stabile.
We got him.
He's here, and we're going to tackle a little. We're going to tackle some Derby stuff, but we're also going to tackle Anthony Stabile. Not physically, although it would be easier to do that than it used to be. He has recently dropped 128.
125.
125 pounds, so we still will not be tackling him, but we're going to, the truth is Anthony's followers see him a lot talking about Kentucky Derby, Belmont Stakes, the big races. So we're going to definitely touch on some of the big race, but we're also going to talk about Anthony, what makes Anthony tick, the story of Anthony, because people want to know. I know you want to know. You told me you did.
I want to know. I'm interested in learning about him, but I'm also interested in getting some couple of picks for the weekend and get me out of the red, get me out of the hole I'm in.
So, but before we do that, we decided that since it's been a few weeks, with last week with the bedlam of Jackie and Peter being on, and I was away the week before, there's some stuff that we haven't talked about that we want to talk about.
They're probably chomping at the bit, no pun intended,
right?
To know what we've been
another
up to.
horse race.
This guy's good. You're good, you.
I just thought of that right this second.
You studied this week?
Really.
You never studied.
Holy
shit!
Oh man!
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I'm gonna have to break my maiden. I don't know.
Wow!
Holy shit!
Wow!
Look at this guy. I don't know. No,
Wow.
No, people are dying to hear what we've been up to. I mean, we were off for a week, and last week we just went right into content
without any choice in the
what
matter.
have we been up to?
Well, let's hear it.
Tell
What
you
have
one
you been
thing.
up to?
We got a dog.
We got a dog. Now explain to the listeners what "we got a dog" means exactly in the interesting life of Mike Keegan, who lives at home but doesn't live at home. Explain that to the listeners and viewers.
So Carla and Juliana, my girlfriend and her daughter, and my
which is kind of pseudo daughter, yeah.
Went to Florida last week to visit Carla's father lives down in Miami.
Okay.
And I spend half my time there because Carla and Juliana live separate and half the time at my house. So
you live in two places.
I basically live in two places.
Okay.
Yeah. So they called me up and they said, "Listen, we got this really good deal on a Havapoo."
Okay.
And Juliana's been dying for a poodle. That's
right.
all she's been asking for.
Right.
And Carla's like, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to pull the trigger. Now, Carla's always kind of hesitant to do it because both of us work full-time during the day, so we can't really be home.
Right.
So I'm like, listen, get the dog. I'm going to get a playpen for it. I could bring it into my office, so it's not home alone all day.
Okay.
So I'm like, just do it. Pull the trigger, go.
Get it.
And as Carla was telling me this, she was down in Florida with her father and her stepmother, who have 8 Yorkie Terriers.
Okay.
They have 8 of them.
Sounds terrible.
So,
go ahead.
As the caller was telling me this, I'm like, well, what are you doing? She's like, oh, we're driving to the doggy acupuncturist.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, this is how this dog's going to go, huh?
Awful. Already awful.
Needless to say, they get the dog, and Carla sends me a list of all the shit I got to buy for the dog.
Right.
Now, it's like fucking CBD gummies for the dog,
Right.
and we got to sign it up for doggy therapy. And,
Yeah.
And we, and then she gives me these dog foods that Connie, her stepmother, feeds the dog.
Right.
These dog foods and these dog treats. And I look at them like, oh, they look interesting. Never heard of them before because I've had dogs for 18 years that I feed pedigree.
Regular, normal dogs that are not getting acupuncture.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Carla sends me these things, and she's like, can you just get these so that we have them in time for when we get home and the dog has food ready? So
Right.
I'm
Just
like,
be
sure.
ready.
So
Be ready, Dad.
So I went on Amazon, and I look at this dog food. She sent me $80 a bag.
$80.
$80 a bag for this dog food. I'm like, I've had dogs for 25 years.
Right.
Never spent more than $15 on a bag
For a year.
So
yeah.
I'm like, let me just look up at the best pedigree. I'm not just getting low grade pedigree.
No, you're going to study. You're going to research because you're a researcher.
Organic puppy pedigree.
Puppy pedigree.
So this dog's down with OPP.
This dog is down with OPP. Exactly.
He got wrap group food, dog food. Yeah.
$17 a bag. I mean, that's still nothing to sneeze at.
I'm not sneezing.
No. So I order this food, and it comes this week. It came the other day, yesterday, and Carla,
for the sake of the story, it came yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, not just 6 months ago, like it actually happened. But we haven't been together since then.
Yeah, but yeah, there's like a punchline to make it sound like it came yesterday.
Right.
So it came yesterday.
Yeah.
And Carla was furious at me, and I thought she was joking around. She's like,
Right.
"Did you really get this fucking food? This dog needs a certain kind of food. That's what we've been feeding. It's 2 months old. It's been eating this."
Sure.
I'm like, "It's a puppy." I'm like, "They're resilient."
Resilient.
Yeah. So I walk into the studio today.
Yep.
And Sally goes, "What the fuck kind of dog did you get that food? Did you get that dog?" I'm like, "Carla called you already?"
Oh, yes.
I'm
yeah,
like,
Carla called me in the hallway last week. Yeah, while you were walking in, can you please tell him that we need real dog food?
Oh my god.
And then I was like, okay. And she goes, no, I'm serious. Will you talk to him?
And I had just gotten off the phone with Carla, who's yelling at me about this dog food. So in the time that she stopped yelling at me to me walking through these doors, Sally had already been called and told to reprimand me for getting this dog food.
Why does Sally hate our show? Let's get to the bottom. I mean, not Sally. Why does Carla?
Because Carla is always trying to sabotage our show.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't ask a lot. I say if you can try to be here every week by 8:45, and then today Mike comes in like 8:49. I'm like, dude, you're killing me. He's like, oh, we had to get gelato next to the place, and there was 2 old ladies online, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's all because of Carla. Though.
Carla needed the gelato.
She needed gelato. Okay.
But so now we have ordered the special fucking science lab.
She went with science diet.
Science diet.
Good. Yeah.
We went with the science diet.
That's
special
what Hazel eats,
yeah.
and Hazel loves it.
So I had a Jack Russell.
Yes.
For 16 and a half years.
I've got a Jack. I have a Jack Russell.
My precious makeup, who's been gone for a while.
I love Jack Russell.
I worked at the New York Post for 5 years. Since I started my career in '99, and I would come home and get pizza.
Yeah.
Makeup would have filet mignon, lamb chops, Chinese. On her birthday, February 3rd, she'd get her own Chinese meal. Shrimp and lobster sauce. This is true. True story.
I
Shrimp
totally
and lobster
believe it.
sauce, roast pork fried rice, Chinese spare ribs. So that's all I got to.
Anthony's getting pizza.
Yeah, I'm salivating right now.
Yeah.
And apparently in the South they call them dogs.
Yeah, that's right. I do know that. They do call them dogs.
Yeah.
And exactly. So now I'm
so
I'm the same way now. This dog is getting a $70 bag of dog food, and I had pizza and gelato. And,
is everything okay now though?
Everything's great. Dog is great. We named the dog Ivy.
Ivy. Oh God, this is embarrassing.
Tiny little dog. She's great. I love her.
Yeah, I don't know.
I am currently dog sitting for my parents' dog though.
What kind of dog?
A Papillon.
But your
Oh, okay,
parents'
they're
dog
both
is like
little.
your dog. I mean,
Kind of like my dog, so I'm supposed to feed that dog the dog food that my parents give it. We split a thing of chicken parmesan last night. So
Jesus.
that's how good I am with feeding dogs. So maybe.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, so you found a dog. You got a dog, and
Yeah.
when I was away, we were away looking at schools in the Massachusetts area last week.
Yeah.
Was it 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
The week before last.
Yeah.
I decided that we were going to stay in a nice hotel in the Boston area, but a little bit removed from the city, so there wasn't the chaos that happens in the city. Unbeknownst to me, when I booked this trip, that I happened to be booking it the day before the Boston Marathon.
Oh,
So
no.
every single hotel within 2 hours of Boston proper was packed to the gills.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get there and it's just bustling, people, runners, and it's just packed.
Yeah.
So I found a baby. Max and I found a baby.
Excuse me.
We found a baby.
Excuse me?
We found a baby. So Max and I are at the pool.
And you're not talking dogs anymore.
We found a human child, me and Max.
Like found, or was it like next to its parents? and
So,
you're like, hey,
Max, Max can't sit still for, we haven't gotten the evaluation done, but he can't sit still for more than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, it's 9:52 at night. He's like, the pool's open for 8 minutes. Let's go for a dip. Like he's got to be in the pool. So this one particular day, the hotel, it's the Monday. It's after the Boston Marathon, so people are drinking. There's literally like parties in the lobby. The Red Sox had played that day because it's all Patriots Day, whatever they call
Yeah.
it. So the hotel is just bustling.
It's Patriots Day. Oh, you
Patriots
guys. were
Day
just-
and the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, it's a
great
lot.
Mark
So-
Wahlberg movie.
Great Mark Wahlberg. That's a fantastic
Awesome
movie.
So Max and I are walking around the hotel, and then we decide to he finally gives up at 10 o'clock at night. He's like, all right, I'm done. So we go to the elevator, and I'm standing there waiting, and Max is like, hey, Dad. And I'm like, what's up, bud? He's like, there's a baby. And I'm
the
like,
elevator?
I'm like, no, I'm outside of the elevator.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, there's a cute little baby. And I look down next to me, and there's a little tiny girl in a bathing suit and a towel, and she's not 3, she's probably not 2, so she's probably like 2.5 years old.
Okay.
It's like a little toddler.
She's toddling. She's a full-blown toddler.
Yeah.
Now, again, if this was like an empty, lazy, Sunday afternoon, you wouldn't think anything of it. But this hotel is packed to the gills. The door is right near the elevator. She literally could have been gone, this kid.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I look at her and I said, "Do your parents know where you are?" She's like, "Yep." And I'm like,
Yep.
like she like sassed me. She's like, "Yep." And I'm like, "They know that you're here by the elevator by yourself at 10 o'clock at night?" She's like, "Uh-huh." And Max is looking, he's like cracking up because he thinks it's hilarious. And I said, "Do you know what she's waiting for the elevator to go up?" I said, "You know what floor you're going to?" She's like, 7, none of your business though. And I'm like, okay, well, you shouldn't have told me then.
Yeah, right.
So then another guy goes, all right, he walks up and he goes to open the elevator door and bring us all into the elevator. I'm like, dude, we can't be bringing a child into an elevator. I'm like, just chill for a second, bro. Like he wanted to get on
That
the
guy
elevator.
was like jackpot. And,
Yeah, he's like, he wanted to get on the elevator with all of us so we can all start moving. And I'm like, no, we gotta, something has to happen.
Yeah.
And like, now my head's spinning now. I'm like, I'm gonna get locked up for kidnapping.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to be part of this. And then, like divine intervention, out of the corner of my eye, a woman is sprinting down the hallway, sprinting, like crying, sobbing, out of breath. Oh my God, Mary Ellen, whatever the fuck a kid's name is. I think it was Mary Ellen or something.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, thank you. We couldn't find where she went. We told her just to go grab a towel out of the pool closet, and she left the room by herself. And
fuck.
so we
And then you say, and that's what you say to the kid. I thought you said your parents knew where you are, you little fucking asshole.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
so funny if
So,
you yelled at her.
So Mike found a dog and we found a baby, but
There you
everything's
go.
fine.
You should have kept your mouth shut.
You know what happened though? We gave her science diet, and yeah, so
They can
we
feed
found
that
a
to
baby.
babies. It's real food, I think.
So we found a baby. You found a dog. What else happened? What else What else did we miss? What else has been happening?
So many things. I'm addicted to watching the Johnny Depp trial.
Oh my God! And did I sent you something the other day? Did you catch any of that insanity?
I have been prepped.
Yeah.
A little
Right,
bit.
yeah.
I got a Cliff Notes version of it from a friend.
I've just
Yeah.
been glued to the TV every day watching it. Sally, you been following the Johnny
No,
Depp
I haven't
trial?
followed it whatsoever.
Can you
It
give
is.
Sally a little, or for the listeners and viewers, a little idea? Because I don't fully understand it myself, to be honest with you.
I heard that she had said some awful things about him, and then it was affecting his paycheck because he wasn't getting movies, and so he sued her.
Yeah,
and that's all I know.
Anti-defamation. Was that what it was?
But then I
It's
saw a
anti-
video that she played where he was like all like drunk and slamming things in the kitchen, and then now you're caught up on everything I know.
Pretty much. I mean, that's kind of a gist of it. What happened was, like, they were married for whatever 3 years.
Okay.
And it was a very tumultuous relationship. Always fighting, a lot of drinking, a lot of drug use. He was big with the cocaine and the ecstasy, but she was physically abusive to him. And they would fight. And apparently, from a lot of the recordings now, she's admitting, "Yeah, I hit you. I know you don't hit me, but I hit you, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, you punched me." She's like, "I didn't punch you, you pussy." She's like, I hit you. I don't punch you." She literally said, "You're not punched. You're hit." And like,
Wait, is this you're in my house listening?
no, I swear to God, I watch this every day. I'm like, oh my God, and Miss Carla when I watch it, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
wish Carla was home.
Oh my God.
So what happened was
It's
did
great
this.
to watch things that make you feel so good about your own
I know,
relationship.
seriously. I don't know if you know if I feel good because I'm just like on the same level with them. I'm like,
Yeah.
Carla's my Amber Heard.
Yeah.
So she made this op-ed about how he's abusive and he's a drug
Okay,
addict.
so she
and
wrote
blah,
I heard a little bit of, so she wrote an article in what, the Washington Post
Washington
or something?
Post, yeah.
Just a random op-ed, how My Husband's a Dick by Amber Heard.
Yep. And
basically.
he goes, listen, I'm the one who's being abused here, even though it's not cool to be the guy that's in an abusive relationship.
I know, believe me, I
I'm
know.
gonna do this anti-defamation lawsuit, and every single day something fucking crazier comes out about them.
So, but explain to me, like, there's been a lot of these cases in the world. Why is this one? Why are we able to, like, I've turned on the TV and I just watched this. Like, why are we able to watch this?
I think we're all just obsessed with Johnny Depp, and we have been as
Okay.
No, Mark's saying, why are we viewing it? Like, there are other court cases that
Like,
isn't
Oh,
open
like
to the
why
public.
didn't we watch like the Ghislaine Maxwell?
Why
case?
Yeah, like, why
are
is
we
this
allowed
one
to
so,
say that?
like, I've watched it, I'm like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess like nobody gives a shit about if it's me and Carla in the courtroom. It's Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and
obviously, for the sake of their careers, they probably both gave authority to the media to be able to cover this, I imagine.
yeah. And
Right?
I'm sure
I
he
mean-
did because he wanted to get his story out, and I'm sure he's got publicity people that said, air this. I'm in the right here. I'm being physically abused at home. So I'm sure that it's him that's kind of making this a worldwide thing, and then everyone just is obsessed with it now because it's just crazy stuff happening. They get in fights, and she takes a dump on the bed.
What?
She took it. There was one of the days he's being interviewed by the lawyer.
Did I tell you about this part? This is what I want. You heard
It's
about
just
that?
I did not hear about this. No.
Yeah.
Oh my! And then I forget what the question to Johnny Depp was, and he goes, and then she squatted over the bed, and he this is exactly how he phrased it. Squatted over the bed, and she dropped a grumpy.
Wow.
I'm like, I've never heard it called that.
So
before,
what? Okay, you do the let's try to play this out here. So you're the judge,
All right,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna be Johnny Depp here. Okay.
All right.
You would think you're Johnny Depp.
I will.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Why are you the Johnny Depp here?
If anybody's Johnny Depp here, it's me. No offense to both of you guys.
You're Johnny Schlepp.
Mr. Depp, do you feel that in any way that you are physically abused at home?
Amber took a duty on the bed. Amber.
Mr. Depp, this is a court of law. Please, there's some decorum. Please do not use juvenile words like that in here. I'll look at your deposition at what you said, and you said she squatted and dropped a grumpy. That's how you describe it?
Counselor, I said she took a Cleveland steamer on the bed.
Mr. Depp, please have a little bit of tact.
If you can tell by my accent that I don't really give a shit about what you say, I can speak the way I want to speak.
I meant to ask you, Mr. Depp, what is with that accent? We all know you're from Kentucky.
I was from a very European part of Kentucky, so I can speak any way I want to.
You're from Eastern Kentucky, where they speak French?
Let me ask you a question. Counselor, did you ever see the movie Benny and June that I was in?
I've seen that movie, but what does that have to do with the trial?
I once walked around my neighborhood with the scissor hands from Edward Scissorhands, and I scared all the children away. I don't know if you've ever heard that, counselor.
Mr. Depp, do you feel like you have a substance abuse problem? Is that...
When I was on 21 Jump Street, I felt a lot of pressure to be more famous than the Asian character, and I started to take pills.
Mr. Depp, is it true that you poured yourself a giant Columbo mega pint of wine one night?
If I was dressed up right now like Donnie Brasco, I would slit your fucking throat.
And dude, that is exactly how it goes. Because literally, one of the lawyers asked Johnny Depp, "Did you pour yourself a mega pint of wine?" He's like, "A mega pint? What kind of unit of measure is that?"
It's just
but
so
Johnny
comical.
Depp makes the Amber Heard's lawyers. He makes them look so stupid. At one point, one of the lawyers for Amber Heard goes to Johnny Depp. When you were on the phone call, what did you say here? And Johnny Depp starts answering, he goes. The lawyer goes, "Objection, hearsay." Johnny Depp goes, "You just asked me that."
Right.
And the lawyer goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
He's totally making an absolute mockery of these attorneys. You have to see it because
All right,
you don't even feel like you're watching like a mockumentary of the case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It doesn't even seem like it's real.
And I was never like a Johnny Depp head. Like I liked some of his movies and stuff.
I like his movies.
You told me you wanted to give Johnny Depp head, though.
Well, speaking of, I did want to give Johnny Depp head, but I was never a Johnny Depp head.
Yeah.
But it makes you like him so much because he's literally so much smarter than her lawyers.
Yeah.
And literally, like he
Right.
was a man in a toxic relationship with a toxic female.
Yeah.
And people don't ever want to see the man as the victim.
Right.
And you see it right before your eyes now. Him and Will Smith. Like that brings a whole thing
And
on
Anthony
the
Stabile, Mike Keegan, Marc Herschmann.
I'm good.
We're all abused at home.
Mike's good. Anthony's good these days, thank God.
Well, me and Mark aren't, and we're reaching out.
Right, I am. That's why I feel like I'm Johnny Depp right now.
Yeah.
Now the main dish, Mr. Anthony Stabile, he's here.
The main course, if you will.
So what I want to do, like I was talking to Anthony about this earlier, and we just talked about it a little bit earlier, that he was on national TV today talking about what? The Derby, Ant?
We talked Derby. We covered some racing from Horseshoe, Indiana, which used to be Indiana Grand, and of course Churchill Downs. So Churchill Downs, of course, home of the Kentucky Derby, races from Tuesday to Saturday this week.
Okay.
They try to get the ball rolling. They got quite an unfortunate break today. The weather was awful.
Okay.
Wet all day, rained all day, sloppy track.
Slop.
But you'd rather have it come early in the week.
Yeah.
And hope the weather gets out of its system.
Okay.
Because you and I both know there have been plenty of derbies. You know, I went to 2 derbies, 08 and 09. 2008 didn't go to the Oaks because there were tornado warnings in the area.
Oh, jeez.
3 miles away, completely poured. Next day, sloppy track walked in. By the time the 5th race came and the sun came out, they had to add water to the track. Next year, Mind That Bird, 50-1.
Boom.
Rained all day. Day before, rained that morning. Sun never came out. Sloppy track. So the weather plays a big role down there. Thankfully, that track drains pretty well.
Right.
So
okay. Well,
Have you been to a Derby, Mark?
I've never been to Churchill for the Derby. Nope, never. But I have a feeling my first time will be with Anthony at some point.
you will get you there.
We'll
I
get-
mean, if you're a horse racing, there are. Saratoga's probably become the biggest bucket list for everybody, and it should be.
Yeah.
I used to live like right down the road.
I used to,
from
I
it.
used to have a house in Saratoga. I didn't
Yeah.
tell you that. Yeah.
I used to rent my house out to people during the race
Sure.
times. Yeah. It's
People
crazy.
pay their mortgages that way.
Yep.
It's an easier bucket list because you have 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
Right, the Kentucky Derby, and you can probably spend 3 weeks in Saratoga for what you're going to spend for 5 days in Kentucky for the Derby.
Right.
So it's an easier bucket list, and it's a more fun, and it's probably a broader vacation. But I mean, if you're a horse racing fan, you have to get to the Kentucky Derby once.
We'll definitely get there. I just don't know how many people know Anthony's story, and the truth is, Anthony's story to me is a fascinating one. And obviously, I am biased because he's a close friend of mine, and I'm biased because I love horse racing. But the story in and of itself is pretty fascinating, and I think that a good faction of the audience today will be people who are Anthony Stabile fans. So I want them to kind of know a little bit about his backstory, how he was essentially raised literally on the racetrack for the most part, born how far away from Aqueduct Racetrack?
Parents met at Aqueduct. I was born in Franklin Square in Franklin General Hospital, but I've lived in Howard Beach, same house, my entire life.
Yep.
When I was born, Angel Cordero and George Velasquez, two of the winningest riders of all time, they've won 14,000 plus races between them. They beat my dad's to the hospital room. So to say I was born there is, I worked today on America's Day at the Races. We had the early shift, Lafitte Pincay III, whose father, if you add him in with George and Angel, they got 25,000 wins between the three of them. So it was a fun show today just because Lafitte and I can kind of relate. And the best part about horse racing is my father probably hasn't won 100 races as a trainer.
Yeah.
A pretty successful jockey agent, probably never won 100 races as a trainer. Lafitte's dad, widely considered easily in everybody's top 5. Many people think he's the greatest rider of all time.
For me, he's a top 3, no doubt.
But you were a jockey for several years, right?
I still am.
We're in that same fraternity as we're racetrack kids. We grew up at the track and we grew up in the business. So to share a set with him, to share a stage with him is pretty. Is
I mean, there's just so many great things like that. So I'll give you guys a little idea. My first knowledge of little Anthony. Okay, so Anthony's father's name is Anthony as well. When I started out working in the thoroughbred horse racing business, I was 22 years old, fresh out of college. I'd show up at the track every day in a suit and tie, and I was running a business that was selling racehorses, racing partnerships, and one of the first guys that I met on the track was a guy named Tony Stabile, and Tony Stabile was a jockey agent. And just like almost like comedy, Mike, how you have to kind of earn your stripes. A lot of times, everybody when you start in the business is not that nice to you.
Right.
Well, horse racing was kind of similar, but one of the people that always stood out to me as actually giving me a chance to talk to and just learn from, and maybe would give me a tip once in a while was Tony Stabile. And Tony Stabile used to have a kid running around the track whose name was Anthony Stabile, this little 16, 17-year-old kid with his little Bronx Tale wannabes. They all had wife beaters on, and they were like little tough guys, that they owned the track.
A little social club.
They were that's really what it was. Am I right, Ann? I mean, that's you and Mikey and
it was. There were a bunch of us who would just I have guys that I met there. I was 3 years old and I'm still friends with
40 years,
40. I just turned 45 last month. Well, March.
Yeah.
So I mean, playing horses, and I wasn't the typical. Most kids grew up at the playground, and my playground was this little patch of grass on the clubhouse turn at Aqueduct Racetrack where we threw the Nerf around. We played wiffle ball. Yeah. There was a concrete path around it where we would race, and like I said, there are guys there. I see my friend Dwayne Dean and his parents at the track every weekend. I know Dwayne since I'm 3 years old. Wow. So, I mean, that was my playground. Aqueduct, specifically Aqueduct.
Yeah.
Was my playground.
Always had a desire to be something in the business. Okay, so I worked in the business until around, I guess it was like 2000, 2001, and then I took a real step out of the business entirely. Got a little sour on some things, and just so I left. So I would follow. I still had my connections, and I would still play horses and kind of still had my hands in it a little bit, but not so much. But I would follow, and I would see oh wow, Tony Stabile's kid is writing for the New York Post, and he's writing and he's doing the picks. Now, for me as a kid growing up reading the newspaper, reading through the Binocs and stuff like that was that's all I cared about. Reading about the Yankees, the Jets, the Islanders, and horse racing. So when I first started seeing him write in the paper, I'm like, he's making it.
Now, is that where you wanted to go in the business?
When I was a kid, so I went to St. John's.
Okay.
I was a nerd. for the most part. Grammar school, junior high school, 98 average. Skipped the year of high school. Yeah. Started St. John's with 24 credits. Oh wow. I was nerdy. There was no America's Day at the Races. There really wasn't a Talking Horses, the shows I do now. So if you were going to be on the media end of things, you were going to get into the newspaper business. Mm-hmm. And I knew the 1989 Breeders' Cup Classic when Sunday Silence beat Easy Goer for the third time in 4 tries that year. Easy Goer at the time was my favorite horse. I remember telling my mom, we were at the Meadowlands watching the races, And I remember telling my mom and dad, like, I wish I had a forum right now to just how angry and upset I am. Pat Day wrote Easy Goer, and I will never forgive Pat Day as long as I live for the rides he gave Easy Goer in 1989.
Stiff.
So, but in a weird way, that anger as a 12-year-old kid who cared about nothing else besides the New York Mets, Hulk Hogan, wrestling, and Easy Goer, it got me here. And I knew at a very young age I wanted to be in horse racing. I wanted to be a racetrack announcer, which is a very difficult profession to crack. So I was a good writer. My mom taught me how to write, really. And I mean, the newspaper was the route you almost had to go.
And it's interesting. So the newspaper, Daily News, New York Post, Newsday, was prevalent, where you would read plenty of articles about horse racing, and there were multiple handicappers. Now it's almost a thing of the past that the horse racing sections in the local papers are almost non-existent.
My partner at the Post, Vic Cangelosi, is the last remaining public thoroughbred handicapper.
Right.
That's it. I think they do some stuff in Newsday, but as far as like in the city, he's the last one left, and Vic's been there.
Why
been
is
there 30 years now.
Well, Anthony can tell. Why do you think that is, Ant?
Well, the game changed. The game changed a lot, and social media just the newspaper business period.
Yeah, that's true.
Has been decimated by
also
social media and the immediacy. Why am I going to buy a paper tomorrow when I can go to 73 different Twitter accounts to find out? Right, you used to wait for. You would wait. I would do the results. One of the things I hated the most about my job at the Post was doing the charts. Hey, just absolutely hate him. Only had to do them on Tuesday. I had help on Sunday and Monday, and Vic and I both worked on Wednesday. Hated doing. I used to, when I was having a good week, I would pay one of the Agate kids to do the charts. I hated doing these things. Yeah, there's 14 people tweeting the result of a race.
Right.
Within 30 seconds of them hitting the wire. Now, who's going to wait around to see some chart in the New York Post? Or the Daily News,
and same thing as far as the prognostications. Or Russ Harris would have an article. You don't have to wait for something like that. Now it's you go online as soon as the entries come out. You can go online and you can start reading about the races.
Yeah, and that the technology kind of ruined it for me a little bit, because I remember ever since I was a little kid, it was always me and my dad. It was always our thing to go to OTB, Kentucky Derby, bet some races. We don't know much about horses. We just bet. I like that guy's name. I like that Hispanic guy sounds nice, and. Now, it'll be Kentucky Derby. It'll be 3:00. I'm like, Dad, I'm taking a shit. You want me to put in a bet for you?
Right.
So we don't go to OTB anymore.
It's a nice
as a
moment with
father
your dad.
and son.
I've bet races from New Kids on the Block concerts.
Yeah,
that's probably my frosted. I always forget the name of the second horse, but took my ex-girlfriend on a trip to Hershey Park to see New Kids on the Block, and I paid for the trip with a cold exacta in the. I guess it would have been the 2016 Whitney. Frosted beat some Todd Pletcher horse, and I made like a $300 exacta. It came back $18. I got back like $2,600, and I was like, I paid for the tickets, paid for the trip, paid for this, paid for that. So yeah, I mean, and Naira Bets, we have the promo going for Derby. Shameless plug. Derby 25. If you open a new account, you get a free $25 Derby bet and deposit match bonus of up to $200.
Oh, nice.
So
awesome.
If you don't have a Naira Bets account out there, you should. Helps keep me employed.
We'll plug that again at the end of the show too. We'll have you plug that.
But I mean, literally, Hershey Park Stadium under the rafters. Get second, Johnny. Get second, Johnny. And Johnny got second. And I paid for the trip, and I think I probably brought a frozen lemon daiquiri back up and cooled down because it was 400 degrees outside in Pennsylvania on August 5th or whatever it was. So
and it's important to mention though that your ascent didn't just go from New York Post to TV. There was a time when you were out of the game. There was a time when you were on an operating table, that you were in bad shape physically, I
was dead as disco. March 4th, my rebirthday. I celebrate it every year.
Really?
March 4th, 2013. Yeah, I foolishly stopped taking my diabetes and my blood pressure medicines, lost 45 pounds, thought I had it licked, was eating and drinking everything in sight, had an ingrown hair on my right buttocks, as Forrest Gump would say, and it turned into 30. You have 36 markers in your blood. 35 of mine were as red as this sweater I'm wearing. Wow. I had 8 different doctors tell me I was a miracle.
Wow.
Some miracle. And from that point on, things started turning good. I started with a radio station called the Horse Racing Radio Network, Christmas of that year, right after the holidays. And I was out of the business. I still do some work for VegasInsider.com because when I didn't have anything, they were something.
Okay.
And they're near and dear to my heart. This was my 16th. This is my 16th Triple Crown covering for Vegas Insider. I'm proud of that work. When I took the full-time job at NYRA, one of the things I don't demand anything, but I requested, and the folks at NYRA were really nice about it, was I said, I want, this means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because when I had nothing, they gave me something.
Right.
So I stayed with Vegas Insider. I still do some work for them. VegasInsider.com. All the content will be up this week. And caught on with HRN. I was ready to walk away, like Mark. I was 2015 was a rough year for me. A lot of the radio hours went away for a while. I was struggling financially, struggling with work. And on September 30th, I was sitting in my office at Belmont Park eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I went from talking like this to talking like this. Really? My vocal cord collapsed out of nowhere. Really? To this day, I do not know what happened. Really? About 2 weeks earlier, my mom, my stepfather, Pete, and my girlfriend at the time were at my uncle's house at a block party. And we were talking about, how I wasn't getting any younger and how I wasn't making any money and how maybe chasing the dream in the racing business needed to come to an end. My uncle's very successful, real estate, mortgages. He said, listen, give you some money, tide you over. Right. Just go take the tests, come work for me. You and Christine might be settling down and this and this and that and that. And I had given it real thought. And then my vocal cord collapsed, and I started giving it real thought.
Real thought, yeah.
And then I was just getting sour on everything. My beloved New York Mets lost the World Series to the Royals, and I was just like, everything was just crashing down at once. Yeah. I started working with a young lady named Acacia Courtney. And Acacia was young and in the business. Acacia was Miss Connecticut 2014, and she came into the business, and she was a lot of fun to work with. And when I was a kid, a lot of the older guys in the business kept their foot on my neck.
Yeah, of course.
And I swore that if I ever had the chance to help somebody, I would. And I started working a lot with Acacia. I was like, this will keep me around. And then my favorite horse of all time is Tonalist. He won the 2014 Belmont Stakes. And on November 28th, 2015, he was dead last, turning for home in the Cigar Mile. And I said, well, this is a sign for me this is over. Wow. And John Velasquez ripped him to the center of the track. And he made up about a half a dozen lengths in the last eighth of a mile. Yeah. And he got up. And Acacia said that I jumped up and screamed. And she hadn't heard my voice that powerful in a couple of months. Yeah. And I remember dropping her at the train and pulling over and just hysterically crying. Wow. Just getting this out. And
he missed her because she left.
Yeah. And I called my uncle.
That's how Mark and I do feel.
That's what you guys do
every day.
Every Tuesday night when we leave here.
I called my uncle and I said,
I'm good.
I got to stay here. I don't know why, but I got to stay here. 6 months later, I started doing Talking Horses.
Oh, thank God.
2.5 years later, I called my first race.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
And then we'll get to our kind of reunion after that. But so I'm going to mention the name of a horse, and I think it's important that when I say the name of this horse, you make sure that the people who are watching and listening understand, and I'm getting my hair on my arm is standing up because I remember the day like it was yesterday. I had tears in my eyes when it happened. When you got to call your first race that day, and the name of the horse who won that race that day was Ajnadine. Ajnadine, I'll never forget. Ajnadine on the scene. And Anthony and I had not kind of fully reunited yet. We were talking
that was the
and
name of
whatnot.
my Uber driver on the way here.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's your boyfriend. But I think it's important. It's almost like the little kid who dreamed of becoming a Major League Baseball player and getting that at bat that they never thought they were going to get. So again, not everyone's a horse racing fan, and I understand that. But please try to put it into perspective that this little kid that I knew as a 16-year-old kid and walking around in a white T-shirt, dreaming of walking on the track, and then December 13th,
Yep.
2000.
Very good. 18.
2018, he had messaged me. He goes, "You might want to watch this race." And I said,
Second race.
"Why?" The second race that day. He goes, "Because I'm going to be calling it."
Wow.
And please go ahead.
Frank Miramati, the voice of the great race place Santa Anita, dear friend, mentor. Walk into his booth. Shouldn't even have been there that day. I was supposed to be at a bachelor party at Mohegan Sun, which is where I'll be for the Kentucky Derby. So if you're around, come on out.
Another plug.
Yeah, I've gotten good at dropping the plugs.
No, we're going to have you give them all.
So get back from the bachelor party early. Go to see Frank. Frank eats about 12 things in life. One of them is we share a love for pizza. He is the biggest New Park pizza fan in the world. I do not agree. I wanted to take him to a different pizza place.
What's yours?
Well, I got a bunch, but I wanted to take him to this place called Ozone Pizza under the L by on Liberty Avenue, which is really good. They have the upside down Sicilian. Yeah. So go into the booth, hang out with him for a little while. I start watching him get ready for the 8th race, and he uses crayons to color his program. I said, "Oh, you use crayons?" Johnny I and Tom Durkin used the markers. He goes, "Yeah, they're right there." I said, other people use the iPad. He goes, "Yeah." So then he started memorizing the field and getting ready, and he does it in a European style. I said, "Oh, you do the European style?" And he gave me a look back, and he was like, "How the bleep do you know so much about this?" I was like, "This is all I've ever wanted to do since I was 10 years old." I was like, "You see that patch of grass?" Everybody else was playing ball and running. I said, when that race began, I stopped. At first, I listened to Marshall Cassidy, who was the voice of Naira for many years, and then I listened to my idol, Tom Durkin. He said, "You ever call a race?" I said, "No." I said, "I did some work on Mohegan Sun, which is where I'll be Saturday for the Kentucky Derby." And I said...
Now, is that Mohegan Sun, Connecticut, or Wilkes-Barre,
Connecticut,
Pennsylvania, where I'll be May 20th?
Thanks, Keegs. I'll be in Connecticut. I'll be in Connecticut.
Uncasville, Connecticut's
Uncasville,
the one
correct.
All right.
So I said, "No, I did some work up there, calling some virtual races, but I've never called a live race." He said, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Of course I want to do it." Now, like Mark said, this is me. This is guys taking, Mattingly's place at first base when they're 15 years old, 12 years old.
Martinez.
This is what it is. You know what I mean? This is, and he's like, "All right, you come in here for the next couple of weeks and you learn every day." So for 5 consecutive racing days, I showed up and I watched. And on the 6th,
how long ago was this?
This was 2018.
Okay.
December 2018.
3.5 years, yeah.
When I walked in the 6th day, he's like, "All right, I get it. You want to do this." So we left. So he was getting ready to go back to California to take over the job at Santa Anita. And we're at New Park. And he says to me, the Sunday before the race, and he says to me, "If you want to negate some of the sugar in the sauce," I hate sugar in sauce, "put a little salt on the pizza." He goes, "Oh, by the way, find a race on Thursday. You're calling it. You're calling one." Oh, and I was just like, the salt shaker was literally held over the slice. And I looked through the card, and I was like, the second race is 5 horses, and it's a short field and it's a short race. He was like, "Well, I'd rather you call a longer one for your breathing," but I was about 460 at the time. He said, "But that's fine." And Julkin Disco, Angry Moon, Ajna Dean, Colton, Mississippi, American Rule. I'll never forget it.
That's awesome.
As long as I live, I'll never forget that. And man, I remember standing at I had the mic on, and with about 12 minutes to post, Frank gives me the whole thing. "All right, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that." I unplugged the phone so nobody bothers you. The stewards know to come in. The stewards are the judges at the racetrack. Stewards know to come in. If they need you, I'm out of here. I was, "Well, where are you going?" He goes, No. You need to have this moment. You need this moment.
I love that man. Whoever did this for you.
The greatest, one of the greatest
He's
people.
a terrific guy.
I mean, another stage 4 colon cancer beat it. I mean, he's just an amazing person. Yeah. So he leaves the booth, and I'm in, the only place I've ever wanted to be in my entire life, like the booth at Aqueduct Racetrack. And
just please describe, because I've been up there, but describe. I don't think that the common person will understand how high you're up and what you're looking at.
You're as high as can be. You're right on the finish line. So the track is an oval. You're right on the wire. The line pretty much splits the track. You're right on the wire, and you're 5 floors up.
Way up.
You're high enough that if it's 45 degrees out, the rain starts as snow before it hits the ground. Like, that's how high you are. And I'm looking out, and I looked down at the spot and kind of lost it when I looked at the grass, and I thought about all the people that I had spent time with at that racetrack, and that place never looked bigger And I remember saying to myself, what the hell did I get myself into here?
Ah!
My homage to Tom Durkin was Tom used to give the time countdown. I hit the button. I said, 3 minutes. And I hit the button back to close the mic, and I started shaking.
Yeah, right.
I made the sign of the cross, and I said, God, I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to bother you again. But if you can just give me the best 10 minutes of my life, I promise you, I'll go away for 6 months. I won't ask you for anything for like 6 months. Made the sign of the cross again, loaded them into the gate. I wrote one thing down on a piece of paper. I wanted one Durkinism, if you will. I wanted to rhyme something. I was like, Ajna Dean's on the scene. It's the only thing I wrote down. And sure enough, the race, like my angels were watching. My Uncle Paul had passed away, and I spent a lot of time at Aqueduct with my Uncle Paul. And I think he was the one that really kind of like booted it home, because that race couldn't have unfolded. I scripted that race in my head, and that's how that race unfolded. And sure enough, at around the midway on the far turn, Ajna Dean was on the scene, and he kind of ran away from
Scooted
Duke and
away.
Disco.
Yeah.
He just kind of drew away. His trainer, Kieran McLaughlin, who's now retired, near and dear to my heart. Kieran was a jockey's agent like my dad for a few years, and they would play all kinds of poker games and card games and liar's poker down there. And Kieran would tip you before he won. So when I would go to the window, I would hustle around the jockey agent's room, and he'd give me a $20 bill, and he'd say, "Hey, go get me some singles, Junior." And I'd run upstairs. That's a terrible Kieran, but I would run upstairs.
Nobody knows.
And I would
Sounds
get,
perfect to me.
They don't know.
I would give Kieran the best singles. I would help Kieran beat my dad. I would get him the best singles because I know he was going to duke me. He was going to tip me. So calling that race and having Kieran win it was pretty remarkable. My mom made me this fantastic, this big plaque with the winning ticket and the program, and got Adam Coglianese to give a win photo and everything. It's really
And you were listening, Mark?
So
really nice.
I was
That's awesome.
listening. I made sure that I was actually home, and I was home by myself, and I had it on the 70-inch TV, and I had tears dripping down my face because to understand how significant something like that is to another person, to be able to feel it, especially since I grew up around the track also, and I knew that this kid had been around it forever, and you just don't see stuff like that happen every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not common that someone dreams of something that is generally not attainable. A lot of people have said, "I want to call a race one day," and then they actually do it. And then he did it. Actually, he still does it occasionally as well. So it was unbelievable. And again, this was before. So it must have been a couple of years before that I think I had Facebook messaged Anthony saying, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to be friends with your dad around the track years ago." And so we would message back and forth, but we weren't like friends yet per se again. And of course, I was going to tell the story. It was right when COVID hit.
The anniversary was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Oh, I figured you would have told me that. Okay.
I forgot to call you.
Yeah. So COVID had started. You hit March 13th,
What's COVID?
14th. Right, exactly. It's what you've had 11 times. So COVID had hit, and you know me, like I get affected by my anxiety and depression and other nonsense. And I had been pretty much in a pretty good rut for a few weeks by this point. So May 1st, I guess it was, right, Ant?
Second,
Second, yeah. And I get a call. I see him pick up my cell phone, and I'm literally staring at a blank television. I'm not paying attention to anything, and that's how I was spending most of my nights, just staring into space, wondering if the COVID was going to get me and what it was going to do to the world and all this other stuff. Yeah. And I look at my phone, and it's maybe 8, 9 o'clock at night on a weeknight, and it says Anthony Stabile, and I'm like, Anthony Stabile? What is he calling me for? So I pick up the phone. He's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Literally nothing." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm just popping into Dairy Queen to get a Blizzard." I said, "Okay, cool." He's like, "No, I'm actually, there is no Dairy Queen where I live in Howard Beach, so I'm gonna be popping into the one in Levittown." And I'm like, there's no Dairy Queen in Howard Beach.
It's literally the closest one.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I was skeptical. I really was. I grilled him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, it's the closest one." So basically the conversation went like, "All right, well, good luck.
I'd like to tell you what to do with your blizzard. Was basically his response.
I live 2 blocks away. Why don't you stop?
Well, so the funny thing is, so I hang up the phone, and then Stacy, who must have been in the kitchen or something, she comes in. She's like, "Who was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was little Anthony Stabile. Remember from the racetrack, Tony's kid, And she's like, "It sounded like he wanted to come over." And I'm like, "It did?" She's like, "Well, he kind of it seemed like he was in the area, and why else would he be calling you? Just to tell you that he was in Levittown?"
I'm near.
Yeah. So she's like, call him back. He was an idiot. You are It's like, call him back, and I'm like, "Hey, did you want to come over?" He's like, "I thought you'd never ask." And I remember saying, I'm like, "Well, I knew he was a cigar smoker, and I like smoking cigars." And I was like, I don't have any cigars. Like, I'm all out. He's like, "I got a whole humidor in my car."
Nice.
Don't leave the house without the travel humidor to this day, but certainly back then. I mean, cigar smoking rampage could have broken out at any minute during COVID.
So unbeknownst to me, so Anthony came over and we hung out, late into the evening that night, and we were kind of started a relationship of hanging out and going out to eat and just becoming really, really close friends. And certainly for me, it definitely brought me out of my my COVID stupor. And unbeknownst to me, that me and Stacy and Johnny and Sue across the street, and we kind of did something for Anthony that he told me much later on. You can go ahead and explain kind of where you were at that point, Ant. And I
was done.
Really?
I'm a people person, and this was not. It wasn't going well. We weren't. Yeah. I was doing my radio gig. Thankfully, we didn't miss a day of thoroughbred. There was a thoroughbred race run every day of COVID.
Really?
Yeah, we never missed one show at the Horse Racing Radio Network. That is probably the proudest thing in my career. Yeah. We even came up. We drummed up a fantasy Kentucky Derby that year because they moved the Derby to September. Right. But I was at a very low point. My mind was shot. I had just broken up with my girlfriend.
Okay.
I was engaged in a relationship that turned out to be 2 years of chaos that I just recently exited and have moved on and have started seeing.
Did she ever poop on your bed?
No.
Right.
Started seeing. She would have to come over for that. Started seeing somebody else. So that's all good. And I have her to thank for the weight loss.
Yeah.
In large part, her, my mom, and myself. So
blessings come in mysterious ways, man.
Right, yes. Yeah. The Lord puts people in your life for reasons. But anyway, my mind was scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
I was done. And I don't think Mark and Stacy, Johnny and Sue came from across the street, Greg came from next door.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm pretty good with words.
Yeah.
I can't put into words what that night meant. And that night, it turned me.
Yeah. Wow.
I was okay. After that,
wow.
I wasn't okay. I really
wasn't okay. Thank God for Stacy, because idiot over here.
Thank God for Stacy. Yeah, thank God for Red,
Mark
because
with his autism, social cue problem.
Yeah. Right. And it's turned into a tradition now. We do a half a dozen of them throughout the year.
My friend,
it's a great time, and it was great though. It was like, just so you know, you're going to use the outdoor bathroom. I was like, wow, swanky. Levittown, outdoor bathroom. Was, you just go right behind the door of just go right behind the PVC fence. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, you can't go inside. And we sat like 8 feet apart. And, it was one of the greatest nights of my life. And I can never thank them enough for that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And this guy's just like,
yeah, he had no clue.
Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, and you're a block from my house. Well, see you later.
Hope they build a Dairy Queen by you. So
I have a wall to stare at.
I was like, do the kids want blizzards? I was like, he was like, yeah, bring some blizzards over.
And he still brings blizzards over for the kids.
2 cookie dough,
awesome.
2 cookie doughs, 3 M&Ms.
I don't even know if I give her credit enough, honestly, but Stacy was the one who made that happen, because I was not calling him back.
Exactly.
It's not a joke. This is not a bit.
Yeah.
I hung up on him, and I was like, I'm going to go stare at that wall again.
Yeah.
Like, that was my place. My mental place was that I was so screwy.
So it helped you that night a little bit also.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, listen, he's become one of my best friends, and we it was just meant to be, and I don't know, it's crazy, and certainly for me, he knows I'm his biggest fan. To watch his ascent, and believe me, there are times when he needs a foot in his ass, and I give it to him.
That's as the kids would say, that's hard facts.
Yeah, it happens a lot, but
Mark is he could be blunt at times.
Yeah, I mean, he needs blunt sometimes, and if it means I need to talk to his mom to remind me to put my foot in his ass, I'll do it. And but the bottom line is, this is a kid who now is nationally televised horse racing person. I mean, it's pretty.
That's a great
it's just
story.
phenomenal.
It's a great. I didn't know we were going to go into that at all today.
You know what?
That's an awesome story. I didn't know there was a story. I thought we were going to be like,
I'll tell you.
Bob Baffert's going to win again this year. All right, whatever.
You know what?
He's suspended.
And it's so funny, and it's almost 10 o'clock, so we're almost going to wrap up. And I will tell you right now, I do not regret for a second that we did not beat the Derby up right now because it's happened a million times before. Anthony's done that already this week,
and it allows me to shamelessly plug one more time Naira Bets. Everything is going to be up at Naira Bets by Friday. Nice. There will be extensive Derby coverage. In fact, I will analyze all 20 horses going into the gate. That'll be one of the blogs. There'll be tickets up for all of the big wagers for the weekend. There'll be tip sheets up for Friday and Saturday, both Churchill Downs and Belmont Park.
Okay.
Well, it's supposed to be a nice weekend. Get out to Belmont Park. There's a lot of good things happening at Belmont this weekend. And again, Derby25 is the promo code for Naira Bets. Open a brand new account. You get a free $25 bet on the 148th Kentucky Derby and the deposit match bonus of up to $200.
Excellent. And we'll put a link on our page also for Naira Bets. So go to Naira Bets or just go to our page and we'll have a link up there.
And talk about the Mohegan Sun again, please.
Mohegan Sun, we're going to start at 12:15. Me and Mike Mutnansky from WEEI.
Okay.
He does the post game and pre-game for the Red Sox.
Okay.
We'll be in the sports book up there, in the race book. My man Zach Montoya hooked me up again. Gave out Funny Side all the way back in 2003 up in Mohegan Sun. So 20 years ago.
Wow.
20 derbies ago.
Crazy.
I like Zandon. For those of you who are following out there, the numbers are 10, 5, 3, 12. But again, the more extensive analysis and all the picks and plays up at VegasInsider.com and, of course, over at NairaBets.com.
Phenomenal.
Awesome.
Phenomenal. Before Mike closes it out, listen, what can I say? To me, this was by far the most enjoyable, and we've done a bunch of these already. I thought this was a home run.
You almost got tears tonight.
Yeah, man.
Osmondine almost got tears tonight.
We had a home run with you, Anthony. You know I love you. You're my boy.
I love you too, guys.
And
I love you, Marky.
this is was great. Thank you very much. We know it's you're doing blogs, you're on the TV, so thank you for coming out this week. And thank you guys all for listening and watching. Mikey, what do you want to go ahead and plug before we go?
I do want to say that I too like cigars and get sad sometimes, so maybe I'll get invited to one of these.
You're in. You are in.
I always see either you or D. Domenico post, "Oh, we're having cigars
You're
in
in.
Mark's fucking driveway."
Yeah.
Like, I'm friends with them. I know.
You're
so
in.
Maybe all right. Sounds
You're in.
good. So,
You're in.
And just as far as plugging, there's great shows here at Governor's Comedy Club this weekend. Govs.com to get tickets, either here in the main room of Governor's, the Giggle Room, the Brokerage in Belmore, McGuire's in Bohemia. I'm not working this weekend. I'll probably come hang here at Governor's in Levittown, so come have a drink at the bar with me or go see the show. Next thing I really have to plug is I'll be at the other Mohegan Sun, May 20th and 21st at Wisecrackers Comedy Club.
Oh, and next week, by the way, we'll let people know that we are scheduled to actually have 2 guests in via Zoom. If all things go the way they're supposed to,
be a fucking blockbuster.
We have Tammy Piscatelli, who is going to be headlining Governors Friday, May 13th, who you may know from Last Comic Standing, and she's a national headliner.
She's on Howard Stern all the time.
She will be on live via Zoom, and a half hour later, we're scheduled to have WFAN midday host Evan Roberts
fucking awesome
on as well next week. So that is the plan.
Awesome. I listen to him every single day. I'm so excited.
Again, it is Evan Roberts. Am I saying
Roberts,
it right?
yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please share. Please like. Please do whatever you got to do, and we will see you guys next week.
Check out Naira Bets, and thank you, Anthony Stabile.
Thank
you, Sally.
Thanks, Sally.
Check out Knock 'em Dead Radio, all the Govs radio shows.
Love it.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Peace. Take care.